all so much for being with us today, and let's kick off our first session.
All right. Trying to make sure everyone can. Yeah, great. All right, I think we're good to go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming release of Anypoint Code Builder, which will feature the configuration panel and some other updates. And we're showcasing that through a demo with Einstein. Let's quickly dive into it. My name is Rohan. I'm a product marketing manager here at MuleSoft, Salesforce. And joining me today, I have Dakota Garcia, who is one of the product managers at Anypoint Code Builder. Quick agenda for today. We're going to be going over what's new in February 2024. We have a release coming out on the 14th, Valentine's Day. We'll be taking a look at a demo of Einstein and some of these new features, highlighting the configuration panel specifically. We're going to do a quick overview of the 2024 roadmap for Anypoint Code Builder, and we'll wrap up with questions if we have some time. And we have Simone in the audience here as our secret ninja. They'll be answering any questions you guys have as we present. All right, quick overview. Anypoint Code Builder, what is it? Anypoint Code Builder is MuleSoft's next generation IDE. It is built on Visual Studio Code and is available both via the desktop and cloud through your browser. Currently, the desktop version is generally available and the cloud version is still in beta. We do have plans to release that within the next year. Anypoint Code Builder also lets you design, develop, and deploy all of your APIs and integrations from a single environment, essentially consolidating that integration development experience. And finally, it allows you to integrate intelligently with the power of AI. We have built-in AI, which is currently in pilot, soon to be in beta, called Einstein for Anypoint Code Builder. It allows you to develop using natural language to generate code and integration flows. So today we're going to be talking about the upcoming release. Again, it's coming out on February 14th, Valentine's Day. It'll be featuring kind of 4 core features or 4 core updates to look forward to. Configuration panel, which is coming out, external VCS support, project creation via templates and examples, and then optimizations for generative flows for Anypoint Code Builder, Einstein for Anypoint Code Builder. Let's go through what each of those are going to be. Configuration panel, what is it? This is a long-awaited feature since the desktop version GA'd back in October. Essentially, what this is going to allow you to do is configure your flows directly from the UI. You won't have to rely as much on the XML panel on the right-hand side. You can actually go through, jump into the UI, add your components, and actually configure them after that without having to write additional code, which is super convenient. So you can do things such as changing display names, selecting and testing connections, writing properties, and again, all of that is available directly through the UI. A little different screen of what that kind of looks like, and we'll see a lot more of this in the upcoming demo. So stay tuned. Next up, we have external VCS support for API design. What this is essentially going to allow you to do is push any design changes directly to the VCS of your choice or version control system of your choice, instead of having to sync it with Design Center. Right now, we're supporting anything that Visual Studio Code supports. So any VCS that is supported by Visual Studio Code, you can access. And again, this kind of consolidates or refines that developer journey. You can push through API design VCS of your choice, and you can also do the same for your integration development or your implementation. Next up, we have the project creation via templates and examples. Essentially, this is going to allow you to access things like accelerators or templates and examples from Exchange, or something internal that you've published. Let's say best practices. For instance, you can access all of those and pull them directly into your projects to kind of jumpstart that process. Again, just kind of expanding the network of things that you can access natively through Anypoint Code Builder, allowing me to get started faster. Then finally, for any folks that are part of the Einstein pilot, again, soon to be beta, it is a closed beta, so if you do want to access this, you need to talk to your account team to have them submit your company's name and you to be part of it. But for those that are part of it, and just to kind of see this progress that we're making, we are starting to optimize what Einstein for Anypoint Code Builder can do. With generative flows specifically, we are adding some additional use cases and functionality to allow you to tap into NetSuite, SAP, File, SFTP, and Object Store. So there are new use cases that have been enabled to actually be accessed through natural language. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Dakota, who can take us through a demo of some of these features.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rohan. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. And that should be, pardon me, that should be coming through here shortly. Looks like we are all good. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Well, thanks so much, Rohan. We got an exciting demo lined up for today. We're going to highlight the configuration panel, which I think is one of the most exciting features that's come to ACB, and it's definitely been a long-awaited and highly requested features that folks have been asking for. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, instead of going through the entire API lifecycle journey, we're just going to be starting with a blank integration project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on develop an integration, and we can give our project a name. But this screen sort of shows one of the first features that we're adding as part of the February release, and that's the ability to create projects from templates or examples. So you'll notice that this screen now looks a little bit different. If you want to leverage a template or an example, you can just click sort of on this radio button here, and then you can search for those assets and apply any sort of filters that might be relevant as you create your project. But that said, we're going to start with an empty project. I'm going to give this a name. I'm just going to title this Community Demo. Whoa, I'm not sure why. Rohan, does the screen look like it's bouncing for you when I type?
Yeah, it is. Let's do a little dance.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, let me, that's interesting. Well, I'm going to create my project, and hopefully that doesn't cause
Anypoint
too
Code
much
Builder is
issue.
just really excited to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what it is. But I'm going to open up my source manual here for my project, and I'm going to open up the split view. And for folks who might be familiar, there's a couple different ways to get started now with ACB. So when this loads here and it sort of spins up my new project, you'll see that on the right-hand side of the canvas, we have the ability to create our project from scratch. And alternatively, for those of you who are part of the pilot program, you now have the option to start with Einstein, which opens up our Einstein panel. So that's actually where we're going to be starting today. I'm going to click on Open Einstein. I'm actually going to collapse my Explorer window just so we have a little bit more room to see everything here. And for my prompt, I'm going to go ahead and type in, and I'm going to keep an eye. Hopefully this doesn't get too crazy as I start typing here. Generate, oh, there it goes again. Okay, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but we're going to keep going. Generate a flow that listens for an HTTP request in this format and sends, and we're going to create a Salesforce account with that. I'm actually going to say Salesforce account using this information. And then I'm just going to provide some information about the actual API structure for the request that I'll be sending. So here we can see that Einstein is composing, and once it's done sort of generating the response, we should get some XML code that gets returned back to us, as well as the description of the flow that then we can insert into our project and use that as a starting point. And really, it helps prevent that sort of empty canvas syndrome where you have a use case in mind, you're not sure which connectors need to be pulled in, you're not sure exactly maybe where to start. That's where Einstein really shines. So here we can see Einstein has returned some XML code to us. It's provided that description. And just by clicking on this icon here, you can see that it inserts it to my flow. And in just a second here, the screen is going to refresh, and you can see that all of these things automatically got added for us. I now have all of these pop-ups on the right-hand side, and that's because it's downloading those connectors into my project. It's adding those dependencies to the POM file. So all of these things are good things, and it helps save a lot of time and effort for users as they begin to build out their projects. But we're kind of done with Einstein for now, and we're going to get started sort of into the meat and potatoes of the demo, which is the configuration panel. And like I mentioned, this is probably one of the most exciting things. Here we can see that now if we click on a component, before it used to just highlight where that XML code was in your flow. But now if you click on the component, you can see that we're opening up a panel along the right-hand side that allows you to do configurations that are specific to the component that you clicked on. So here we can see that I have a general tab, I have an advanced tab, I have a notes tab. So I can cycle through any of these and just take a look at the different options. I have my general, I can make any sort of edits that I would like. They'll automatically be reflected in the XML. So this is, yeah, this is huge. Hopefully this cuts back on the amount of work that you're having to do in the XML portion of ACB, and you're able to do a lot of this stuff through the UI. It is going to be metadata driven, which means that it's going to look and have a lot of the same fields that exist in Studio today. So a lot of your configurations, if you're already used to, sort of putting together various different things or configuring certain fields, those should be appearing here as you build out your flow. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to add in a few different things. So I'm actually going to close this out. We need to start adding in like our connections and things like that. So I'm going to start typing in my configuration properties, and this is going to allow me to show you a couple of different things here. So let's get started. Type in HTTP listener config. Let's insert that. And the other thing I need is Salesforce. So let's insert that configuration. And I'm going to open up my file tree just so I can insert my config.yaml here. Let me pull that in. Perfect. Add that to my resources. And hopefully when I hover this, yes, everything's pulling in. Okay, so let's get started. So here, if I open up my HTTP listener, you'll notice that I have my path here, create account. That looks fine. But now it's automatically pulled in my connection. I can test this connection if I want to. This will work similar to if you test it through the XML. I can just click sort of on this play button, and it's going to verify that my HTTP connection is valid. I might have an error here, but we're going to close this out and just continue with sort of the build out here. And from here, I also have my Salesforce connection. So if I open that up, you'll notice that now we're gathering our options for our configuration. And what we're doing is we're taking in your Salesforce connection parameters that you've defined, and we are basically fetching the metadata for your organization. So what fields do you have access to within your Salesforce instance? You'll see that those all appear here in the drop-down menu when I want to go ahead and create my object. We do allow folks to search. So if you start typing in like account, you'll notice that we return all of the results that relate to that particular object. And similarly, let's say you go into your Salesforce instance, you add a brand new custom field, you want to see it in this drop-down box. Of course, you always have the option to refresh that metadata on demand. So we'll let this refresh here, and then we'll kind of keep rolling with the demo. Okay, this looks great. I want to make some changes to my flow here. So I want to delete my transform. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be saving our request to a variable. So I'm going to come into my core processors here. I'm going to hit transformers, and I'm going to set pay. Nope, I was clicking too fast. Set variable is the one I want. Set variable. There we go. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to give this a variable name as well as set a value. This is a great place where I want to highlight the expression mode. So if you want to toggle on the expression mode, you can sort of click on this icon in the upper right-hand corner, and I can just say something like payload, and you'll see that it's automatically updating the XML as I do that. And I can say something like request payload, and that sets my variable name here. And if I wanted to update this at the top, I can do that as well. So I can say like request payload variable. Perfect. And you can see it updates the XML, it updates the UI. So all of this can be set through the UI now. And let's say I scroll down and I lose track of where this variable is. I can click on this recenter icon, and it's going to automatically take me to that portion of my flow that I'm working with. So that's what this icon does here at the top. So let's close that out. I'm going to be using some snippets I defined for my transformations. So I'm going to say user snippet, and I'm going to transform my payload to Salesforce. So this has all of my data weave transformations. And let's make sure our variable matches request payload. Yeah, that should be fine. Perfect. And this is a great opportunity to highlight that this is really just the first step in our mission to sort of bring a lot of the configuration functionality to the UI. And you'll notice that some fields are grayed out, and these represent complex objects or transformations that aren't quite supported in the UI yet, but they'll be coming soon. So if we hover over one of these fields, you'll see that, hey, right now, this field is only read-only. You still have to configure this field in the XML. But for any sort of basic objects, you're gonna be able to edit those like we saw with Salesforce. But let's say I drill down into my advanced tab here. If you see any fields that are grayed out, that's just because support for those will be coming as part of a future release. So with that, our transform's done, but we can continue working here. I want to add in my NetSuite connector, so I'm going to go ahead and search for that. We have our NetSuite connector here. It's going to get our operations. I want the add operation. And what we're going to be adding is a new NetSuite customer, similar like we're creating a Salesforce account. Here, I also have my user snippet for my NetSuite transformation, but you'll notice that we get an error on NetSuite, and that's because I don't have any connection defined. So let's go ahead and add that here at the top. I'm gonna come in, I'll say NetSuite config. It's not the right one I wanted. There we go. And that one looks like it should be good. So now if I click on my NetSuite component, you'll see that that appears in my drop-down list. So we're only showing folks connections that they've configured related to the system that they're configuring. So you'll notice that we're not seeing my HTTP configuration here. We're not seeing my Salesforce configuration here. All we're seeing is my NetSuite config. So I'm going to click on that. Similar to Salesforce, we're going to fetch the metadata. And I know we're getting close on time here. So with that, once this finishes up, we can go ahead and wrap up so that Rohan can show you some upcoming stuff as part of the roadmap. So here we have our NetSuite config, and similar to everything else, we can search for the fields that I'm able to edit in NetSuite. So yeah, that kind of rounds out today's demo. If we wanted to, we could debug this, we could create those accounts. But that really highlights the configuration panel, how you can get started with Einstein. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to pass things back to Rohan because he's going to talk about a lot of those upcoming features that I was sort of mentioning and when you can expect to see those in ACB.
Awesome. Thank you, Dakota. Good job doing that while the bouncies were happening.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what's going on there. That's the first time I've seen that. It was interesting.
That's a first, definitely. All right, so upcoming roadmap. We only have 2 minutes left, so let's quickly go through this. So coming up February again, we have kind of what Dakota just highlighted, what I just talked about earlier. The February release coming out, but coming up in June and October, we have 2 big releases. I think February is just a start. Honestly, it just kind of ramps up for there, and the goodness increases. So coming up in June, a lot of new features that are going to be coming out. I think the ones to highlight here: Data Weave Expression Builder, again giving you some UI to actually interact with Data Weave and build out your expressions. Something that's also we've heard a lot from people. Same thing with custom Java support. Big one. One of the more exciting ones that'll be happening is async API support, and that one is a new addition that we're really happy to add in there. And then we're going to continue to work on enhancements to generative flows. Again, kind of optimizing those use cases and flushing it out in preparation for October. Probably the biggest and most exciting release is the actual GA of Einstein for Anypoint Code Builder in October. Again, right now it's in closed pilot, soon to be closed beta, but this will allow all of you guys to get access to this. And again, something that team's been working really hard on, and we're super excited for it to get in your hands and to actually use it. But some other big things that are coming in October: MUnit. I think every time we do a session, that's a question that's asked: when's MUnit coming? When's MUnit coming? So we're excited to bring you that in October. again, some enhancements with data weave and actually giving you more structured UI for that. And something that'll be exciting is generative data weave. We'll preview of that ready for Dreamforce. So if you are going to be attending Dreamforce, that'll be cool to see. I'm excited to see that, and a lot of cool stuff in 2025. And I know we're at time right now, so I will wrap it up. Thank you all so much for attending our session. We're glad you guys were here. We're glad to be here. And we hope you guys all have a great rest of your days.
Thank you all
For the
so
rest of
much.
us.
Please feel free to head to the next session featuring Samir and Sue, all about API management. You can click the join button on the left-hand side of your screen. And thank you, Rohan, Dakota, and Simone, as always. Bye, everyone. Oh, did I freeze?
Nope.
No, you're still
You're
here.
good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.